Jets. As you can see by the draft grades, they gave the Jets an A. I myself gave them an A minus. I just think if you look at their picks, 3 first-round picks of Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, and Jermaine Johnson, all instant starters. And then you follow that up in the second round with Brees Hall, one of the top running backs in the draft, and you needed a running back, instant starter. And then you go round 3, you get Jeremy Ruckert, the tight end from Ohio State, instant starter. And then you go 4, you got 2 picks in the 4th round. Max Mitchell is a decent offensive tackle. Michael Clemens, I was high on from Texas A&M as a defensive end. While he's still a little rough, he's going to bring some funk. Now I'm going to say we got to think about how they were 4-13 last year. They were 26 in total offense, 28th in scoring, and dead last in both yards and points allowed. This draft right here, while it might not fix all of that, a lot of it just got fixed with this one draft. We already talked about Sauce, who's going to definitely shut down one side of the field. Garrett Wilson is going to be a mismatch nightmare for most of the cornerbacks in the league. Jermaine Johnson, I think once he gets his feet under him, because NFL speed and college speed is 2 different things. Once he gets his speed and the feel for the game, Brees Hall is going to hit the ground running. Everybody that they hit in here, I can honestly say the only one that I question is Max Mitchell. Everybody else can be a day one starter. Max Mitchell might get in there just because they are garbage on offense. You helped Zach Wilson. Zach, if you do not put it together this year, you're back up for life. They literally have given you everything that you need in this one draft to succeed. I don't know what else I could say about your rival, but they killed it.
They did good.
They killed it. They killed it. Are they going to finish in first place? No. Second place? Probably not, but I think they get more than 4 wins. I think 6, 7 wins around that, get the team built up because they do have a lot of, you got a 50+ man roster. You got 30+ holes on this team. But A minus, I can give them to that. I can give them that. Now let's talk about another one of my favorite drafts. And I know my boys are going to be real happy. Let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. So I give them, and I got to be honest, and I'm not just being a homer, I give them an A+. Just because they didn't have a lot of picks, but all of the picks they used, they pretty much covered what they needed. They're going to be a big spender. Well, not a big spender, but they're going to be a major player in free agency. I'm pretty sure if we check the rookie that already been signed, they have a lot. I know we have some that we signed. But you're talking about your first pick, Jordan Davis, run stuffer, mountain of a band. He's going to command a double team. Then you follow it up with a much needed offensive lineman in your center. Jalen, you got protection in front of you now. That center he's going to be there. And he's a real smart center. He's a real smart guy. We're going to skip over this third pick, the 19th pick in the 3rd round, because me and you are going to talk about him. Now, Kyron Johnson from Kansas, I think as an inside linebacker, he's going to be perfect for the Eagles playing behind Jordan Davis. That's what I think is going to help him. He's hard, he hits hard, he's speedy, and they did add another tight end. I think he's going to be more of a blocking tight end. He's not really going to be that involved in the offense. He might catch 1 or 2 passes here. It depends on how good Jalen Hurts is. But let's talk about Nakobe Dean and how this could be the steal of the draft or the bust of the draft. It's either or. And Brent knows from my previous videos on top 5 defensive players, it was between Nakobe and Devin on who was the best linebacker in this draft. Nakobe by far is the most decorated. Buckets award winning. You don't get that just for being mediocre. You get that for being the best. And he got that being the best linebacker on the best defense. And then it came out that he had a pec injury. And I've heard different rumors that it needed surgery and he refused to get surgery. I've heard people say it didn't need surgery, so he only had to do rehab. But the constant thing that I was hearing is that he's not the hard-hitting linebacker that the NFL teams want. And why would you say that? He's a little light in the butt. Caught myself. I'm still the angel. He he's a little lightweight. He's sub 6 feet tall, and most teams want their linebackers to be 6'1", 6'2"-ish, about 250, 255. He's about 230, 5'11". I can see the pause on that, but that alone doesn't take him out of the second round. I think the injury itself played a major factor in his decline. What do you think?
The injury had to have played a huge part in his decline. I believed he was head and shoulders the best linebacker in this draft. When we traded back in the first round, I thought we had every inclination of getting Lloyd, right, Wyatt, or him. That was it. I thought the Patriots were sold on getting Jacoby in that first round. We saw what transpired, and he fell in the second. I'm like, all right, we traded up. We're going to get him. We did.
Yep. And
then he just kept falling and falling and falling. And if he plays up to his potential, he's easily the steal of the draft. If not, the only other person who can argue the steal of the draft in my mind was a guy you were hyped on from the Washington State Cougars, Abraham Lucas.
Yep.
Going to the Seattle Seahawks, you put him and Cross on the same line. We don't know who's playing quarterback, but we know he'll be upright. And that's a huge question mark in today's NFL. But Jacoby, it had to have been the shoulder, or it had to. Well, he said the pec. Apologize.
But that's the thing. It's not just his pec injury. He has an injury history at Georgia. So, and all the Georgia fans out there, please stop being a homer. Stop being mad that the Falcons didn't draft him in the second or third, saying that the Falcons had all these chances to pick him. 32 other teams passed on him twice. Stop it. There's a reason. Okay? He's not what they wanted. Did he land in a position where he could succeed? Yes. Because now he's still playing behind Jordan Davis. And I think that is going to help him. But that's if he's healthy. But again, undersized linebacker. So fast. He's fast, but straight line speed and lightweight.
A lot of people are already comparing this pick to a pick from a school I know you hate, Timmy Tebow, where they had a decorated college career, but they didn't have the size or the essential skills, quote unquote, to play in the NFL.
Tebow had the size, he just didn't have the skills. He didn't have the skills.
And then Jacoby doesn't have the size,
but he has the skills.
They don't believe he that is up for debate with the injury history, because injuries can derail anybody's career.
Kuechly was an undersized linebacker, and what happened when he started getting injured? He couldn't play no more.
Yeah, it's like he was the best linebacker when he was on the football field, but he was never on the football field.
Once he got concussed one time, that was it. Once you get that first concussion, you got to be careful. And as a linebacker, now Jacoby, I wish him nothing but the best. I want him to succeed. I don't want him to get injured and be out the league in 3 years. But you got to look at it as it's your team. Is this guy going to help you succeed day one? No. Is he a good pick? Yes. But you're drafting him for what ifs. This is what he is. Now, with that being said, if Jacoby turns into a bust, this will severely affect the Eagles' draft this year on ratings. If they have to go from an A+, in my opinion, probably a B, because now you got a bust. But
bust hurts you no matter where you get them.
That's pretty much my two. I did have a couple others, but they're not worth mentioning. I just wanted to talk about those two. It's your turn,
as per usual, I'll be talking about the worst of the worst, because this is so obvious. Anybody can do this part of the job. He's been our draft guru. You've been riding with him. You've been listening to him.
I should have talked about the worst, since the Falcons are the worst team ever.
We have two teams I want to discuss, and then we'll talk about our sorry ass teams. I did it again.
You did it again. I'm still the angel.
You've survived. We'll be talking about two teams and then our teams. The teams draft I am not sold on. Arizona. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, how can you talk about Arizona Cardinals and their draft when their draft grade is an A-? That is because they're counting the addition of Marquise Brown is all that. Well, you see why they traded that first round pick for that. D-Hop's out 6 games on a suspension. On top of that, you have a disgruntled quarterback who wants to get paid and paid large. And he's willing to not report because if you don't remember, this is also the dude who sat out his baseball career so he could play in the NFL. This dude has a history of quitting to focus on himself. Your team is not first ever. And let's talk about this draft. Trey McBride is your first player drafted. Okay, ain't mad. Cameron Thomas next. Magi Sanders, sorry. Geesh, terrible reading. Kearnley Ingram, Lasita Smith, Christian Matthew, Jesse Lukita, and Marquise Hayes. Other than McBride and Thomas, tell me you have heard of any of these individuals if you are not a draft guru. These are all small school guys, all on defense when your offensive line is woeful at best.
I will say that I know about Christian Matthews only because it's a Georgia school.
Because like they had 2 guards in this draft. I'll give them that. But they're in the 6th and 7th round. What guards in the 6th and 7th round usually pan out or start?
I think Smith,
or even make your squad?
Smith might be serviceable. He's decent. He might be serviceable. But the other one,
like Arizona, I couldn't give you anything more than a B- at absolute best. That's if Marquise just balls out, and
which he won't.
Kyler stays and wants to play, not sit on his sorry tuchus for the remainder of this year till he gets paid. Because he's shown a history of bobblehead is where all his ego is, right up top.
He do run like this though.
And then let's talk about another team that you really had a chance to improve in this draft. You just didn't. This one also gave you an A-. I do not see this at all. I don't see it. The Bears, your first pick, you're solid. Kyler Gordon, I don't even root for Washington. That's a solid player. You needed a corner. You needed a big physical corner. You got Kyler Gordon. Good pick.
Great.
Second best corner from the University of Washington this year, but still good player. Jasquin Brisker, Penn State. I think you reached there. Bayless Jones Jr., wide receiver from Tennessee. He could be a big time guy. They don't really have a quarterback at Tennessee, but he could be something.
Hey, he did give us some trouble when we played him.
And then you went tackle next. I like that. Braxton Jones, Dominic Robinson, a linebacker from Miami of Ohio. Okay. You went back to tackle again. Zachary Thomas, fantastic. Treston Ebner, Baylor. Doug Kramer, Illinois. Jatire Carter, Southern. Elijah Hicks, Cal. Traxton Gill, punter from NC State. So you went center, guard, 2 tackles. Here's my issue with this. When Brisker was taken, you still had a couple tackles that were very solid available. You still had a couple guards solidly available all the way until the 5th round. You guys are saying you're committed to Justin Fields and improving that offense. But if you aren't willing to build that line, Fields is going to struggle, and he does not have the weapons, nor did you provide him the weapons to make this happen. If I am your boy Ramon right now, I am pissed at this draft right now. Pissed is an acceptable word.
It is not.
How is that? That's not a swear word. That's not a tech. But I am upset if I am a fan of the Bears, and this is the draft.
Who are his receivers anyway?
Who have you given him to succeed with? And the answer is the only weapon he has is Cole Met, and that's a tight end.
That's right. He is there.
So you're like, This is questionable at best and just horrible at what it really is. This is
All y'all
just
talking
this
about
bad.
Aaron Rodgers not having weapons. Justin Fields don't have any weapons. So whatever.
You want to start with your team or you want to start with my team?
No, we're gonna start mine because we're gonna talk about how bad your draft was.
Okay, I'm gonna put up your draft for everyone to see right here. Here's what it is, right there.
Now, let me just say, just like 90% of other Falcon fans, when we make that first pick, we all screamed and started to cry. Just because we didn't understand, we know we need defense. We know our defense was like 27th in the world of just being bad. So you go out and get a wide receiver again in the first round. It made a lot of us pause about this. But then we started to see the next draft, the next picks. I will say I love our second round pick. I think he's still a little lightweight, but he's not a pure strength guy. He can add that later. He's more of the speed rush, and we needed that. So I'm not upset with that. Once I saw that, I said, okay, we're gonna start getting into the defense now. Okay, we just needed to help that the worst wide receiver room in the NFL and got this guy who he is a solid wide receiver, but not the one I would have got. But then again, you came back and you got Troy Anderson from Montana State. And I'm not gonna lie, I had no idea who this was. I literally once we drafted, because again, this was pre-N'Kobe Dean injury update. And I was like, this should be N'Kobe right here. And it didn't happen. And I was like, why? And then I started looking at this guy. Not only is he a linebacker, but he plays running back and quarterback. So guess what? And he was also the fastest linebacker at the draft.
Which
So I
is
was
saying a
like,
lot.
so, and again, we talked about with N'Kobe what some of his weaknesses were. This guy, Troy, 6'3", 243 pounds, 214 total tackles, 27.5 tackles for loss, 11 sacks, 15 passes defended, and 3 interceptions in 50 games. He also had the second most rushing touchdowns on his team. Sixth most 100-yard games at 11, and ninth most rushing yards in program history. I saw that. I started watching his highlights. I became happy. That's what we need. We need the athletes on our squads. We need football players, and that's what Troy Anderson is. And I'm not gonna lie, because when the next pick came up, I had said this earlier to my co-host, and he kept denying that I said it, but he know I did. That if we was going to take a quarterback, the third round would be the place to do it. I still didn't want Malik Willis just because I think he's too unpolished. And plus, with the quarterback class next year, if we get one this year, it'll let us know if we need to get one next year. And the guy that I did want was Desmond Ritter. And lo and behold, what happened? We got Desmond Ritter. He's faster than Marcus Mariota. He's got a better arm than Marcus Mariota. I think Marcus Mariota is still has a better skill set, but that's because he's still a rookie and he has to get into the NFL scheme. Is he day one starter? No. But the minute we get into that 5-game losing streak, when we lose our first 5 games of the year, I think he comes in. If he shines, whether we win or lose, if he goes out there, hits 65% of his passes, gives us about 250 to 300 yards, a decent touchdown to interception ratio, we might actually pass on a quarterback next year. Not saying much, but it is a possibility. Because again, you do not need a Joe Montana. You need a Trent Dilfer. If he could be our Trent Dilfer, then we can start working on these lines of that defense. But now they got also the next pick, D'Angelo Malone. Know nothing about this guy. He looks like he's a good player. Okay. I'll go with what you say. He's outside linebacker. He can rush. We need that. That's fine. But the next pick, the running back, is another one. I was like, "Ooh, we got this one." I'm happy with him. Just because he went to BYU, you watch what he can do. Uh, Played in 41 games, 21 starts over 4 years, totaled almost 3,000 yards on 452 carries. That's over a span. So can he handle the workload in the NFL? Probably. But he's also a threat out the backfield. He can catch. And guess what? Guess what else he did? He played linebacker also. So you kind of see the theme of what's going on. We're getting bigger. We're getting more physical. And I love that. Now, my last two picks on here shocked me 110%. Because one, I didn't think Georgia was going to have all 15 players sent to the draft drafted. I figured Justin Schaefer and Sawyer were going to get drafted. I just didn't know we were going to take Schaefer. I would have rather have Sawyer, but that's just because it's my personal opinion. I don't mind Schaefer. He's as good as Sawyer. He's not a day one starter. He's going to have to get some polishing done. But the shock to me, because once Schaefer got picked, Sawyer went a couple picks later, and then Darion Kendrick got picked. That was it. I said, okay, 14 out of 15 guys are going to get picked. The last guy that we had was John Fitzpatrick, and he got picked by the Falcons. And I was like, the Falcons got a late round gem. Let's not look at, we still have Kyle Pitts. John Fitzpatrick is not there to be Kyle Pitts. He is there to be the blocking tight end that we do not have. Can he catch the ball? He can, but that's not what is needed. He's going to be our extra offensive lineman. He is stout in the run game. He's great at picking up blitzes. So overall, after the first pick and I watched what they were doing, I have faith in Terry for now. I give it a solid B+ overall. Can't give it an A just because D'Angelo Malone for me, I don't know too much. But I'm happy with this draft. I just need to see what they're going to do in the future.
I would have personally given you guys a B. I would have preferred you guys went D end at 8 or even D tackle at 8 and then got a receiver at the top of the second. But again, Drake London, he's what you guys believe he is, and his comp is the same as Evans.
But then
no one's going to be mad at this.
And you also
Evan
look
Kenny,
at once we took Drake, it was a run on wide receivers.
Yeah, you guys opened up the floodgates, so that was definitely a thing. And then let's talk about this. Just talk about it for a minute. We are just gonna say this is what it is. This is a thinker draft. Cole Strange highlights this run right here. He was a top 5 guard, but there were 3 more guards left on the board that were rated higher than him.
Yes.
Don't like that in round 1. Round 2, we traded up to get Taekwon. I like this pick. He is the fastest receiver in the draft, period.
Right. Yeah, but Raiders
you put him with you put us with the other receivers that we got. We actually have a receiver room. We'll call you later, Georgia. We'll see how you guys are doing when you get suspended for more gambling. Then we went and followed up 2 good picks in a row. Marcus Jones and Jack Jones. Rebuild the corners that we lost. We didn't pay JC like we should have. I like Jones. I like Jack Jones. The Jones brothers could be another thing that we got going here. I'm just going to call them that from now on. It's easier to remember this way. And then I get really confused as to what we're doing here. We already were 3 deep in the running back room. Pierre Strong, I like him. I do. I don't like him on our squad. If you guys drafted Pierre, I ain't batting an eyelash. That makes sense. You just give Cordarrelle time to rest. Nah. Us? What is he supposed to be doing? We follow that up with a quarterback?
Y'all just take quarterback last year. Y'all just take quarterback
last year in the first round.
And y'all also just signed a quarterback, Derek King from Miami.
It's like, what? What are we doing in the quarterback room? Like, are we going to convert Zap like we did Edelman? Like, is that what's going to happen? Like, I haven't seen that level of athleticism from him, so I don't think so. I don't think he's got the size. I don't think he's got the skills. He's a perennial backup quarterback in this NFL at best for maybe 5 years. Maybe. I mean, we needed a cheap backup, but 4th round could have done that.
You can get out the waiver wire. Or
Kevin Harris to follow that.
How many running backs I got now?
Got 5. Not counting free agency and unsigned people. It's like, why do you have 5 running backs? What are we doing? And then Sam Roberts and Chasen Hines.
I can get behind Chasen Hines. I can get behind him.
Stuber, I was more ahead of him than I was ahead of Hines. But what are we trying to do? Is my whole concern. It's like, are we literally going back to just this is power I twin tight end formation? Then why are we getting Tyquan? Because if you get Tyquan, we go 3 wide receiver set all day. Him, Bourne, and Aguilar will be fine.
That's true.
But 5 deep at running back at this, unless you're exclusively planning on having our Super Bowl hero running back who just went off in the Falcons Pat Super Bowl just be a wide receiver only, I don't get this draft. Unless he's exclusively a passing down running back.
You have to mention that.
I don't get it. I don't get this draft. Look, Belichick, Belichick I trust has been something I've been preaching Patriots faithful. With this, man, if this gets anything above a C+ from anybody, I would be shook. Belichick, I trust you. Please prove me wrong, like you did with Mac Jones. Hell, my co-host proved me wrong on Mac Jones.
I did.
Unequivocally, beyond a shadow of a doubt. I did not listen. I was wrong. I'm happy to say I was wrong. But this draft is a C+ draft, unless you've got some gem for me that I am just unaware of.
I can't see it.
I was hoping for a wing and a prayer there, but man,
I will agree that Thornton.
This is one of the worst drafts. This would have been a top 3 bottom draft.
Yeah. Thornton is he's your best draft pick, and then the next one will have to be Hines or Stuber, and then after that it's like, okay, whatever.
It's like, I like Marcus Jones, I like Jack Jones. I would have liked Cole Strange where we took Jack Jones, but that's not what transpired. So I got to live in the reality of, I think Belichick has got maybe a couple years left and he walks away. I don't even know who our offensive coordinator is. It's sad to say. So we'll see how things go. And I don't really have anything else to add to today's episode. Any honorable mentions you want to throw out other than the wide receivers that got traded?
I think Washington had a horrible draft. I think they were just garbage.
You really do hate that team. I didn't like the Colts selections at all. Houston's first round confounded me to no end. But then we made our pick, so I had to shut up about that and just eat what it was. Because
you couldn't say anything after Cole Strange.
Because Cole Strange was the weirdest pick of the first round. Quay Walker was the second pick that just dumbfounded me. He's a second-round talent. Great player, but still second-round talent. And then on top of that, I'm still 100% not sold on Stingley or Kenyon Green where they were taking. I think the Texans reached on both. They could have had Sauce, and then they could have literally had Devonta Wyatt, but nope. No, they did not.
That's fine. And we putting 3 more first-rounders in next year.
Cash money. But be sure to like, be sure to subscribe to this lovely channel, and maybe I will hit the right button on the way out to check out the other videos.
Hello.